Hey there folks, Phoenix Aurelius here. I'm excited to announce the beginning of a new service that we are offering to the public now called Eliminate Ens Magicae and Harmful Entities. Over the past 5 years, as I've been doing spagyric wellness research work with clinical studies here on the tenets of Aurelian medicine, we have seen about 70 to 80% of the clients that we have come in with either Ens Magicae or Ens Spirituale or both. What do these entail? Ens Magicae, let's cover this first. This means causation of magic. The causation of magic essentially indicates that there are negative, harmful, malicious, malevolent, ambivalent, and or evil spells, incantations, curses, hexes, jinxes, psychic attack, or the evil eye that are impacting an individual in their entire intrinsic data field, and that ends up precipitating from the causal down into the astral, through the etheric, and into the physical body within the philosophies of Aurelian medicine. And it can have a very negative impact upon our thoughts, our well-being, our dreams, our sleep, etc. Oftentimes, if people are doing everything that they can to stack the odds in their favor in life and everything is still going wrong, there might be curses, hexes, or jinxes against that person. If people are constantly going to bed and having regular nightmares, and there's not some sort of physiological reason for it, like for instance, having some liver issues or having upper airway respiratory syndrome, or having any of these other types of physiological factors that might play into it, then there's a very good chance that there is an Ens Magicae component to it. In fact, people are susceptible to Ens Magicae just all the time if you're not regularly performing magical rituals in order to bolster your defenses. And even if you are, sometimes these types of curses, hexes, jinxes, etc. can get through and still impact us, and this has a very negative ramification on our holistic wellness. And so it's very important over here at the Phoenix Aurelius Research Academy that we address those things. And over years of being able to research methods that we can use to impact those things that don't necessarily require ritual work, that has been the IDF approach that we have developed, and it's become very standardized to the point that we can offer this now as a service to the general public. The other thing that we work with is Ens Spirituale, but particularly harmful entities, because Ens Spirituale covers all sorts of things that are electromagnetic and electrochemical in nature. For instance, electromagnetic exposure that creates negative ramifications on the electromagnetic aspects of our being, and especially our electrochemistry, as well as all of the electrochemical components of our neurology and our endocrinology. These types of things can all be impacted by Ens Spirituale, but entities can also be a part of Ens Spirituale, and that's because within Aurelian medicine we define an entity as any electromagnetic signature that is aware of itself. And entities, oftentimes, disembodied entities in particular, oftentimes prey on human individuals that are in states of confusion, depression, that express negative or very low vibrational states of consciousness, and other times when they tend to be out of body, or when their astral body is kind of disconnected from the physical. When you're outside of your physical body, other things can step in, and they will do anything to do that sometimes because they want to be able to experience physicality themselves. But just like with bacteria and fungi and other things, they're drawn to a sick terrain already. The same thing happens with disembodied entities, or these electromagnetic signatures, with people whose astral and etheric terrains are already in a very bad space. Oftentimes this happens with drugs and drug addiction. It happens very much so with pharmaceutical medications, we've noticed, especially ones that are designed for pain or to alter neurology or to alter your neurotransmitter or hormonal balance and things like that. And we also see this very commonly with people who engage pretty frequently with alcohol. But it's also very present with people who are performing things that they would refer to as medicine, like ayahuasca or mushroom therapies and other different types of things like this. Even frequent use of cannabis to a point where we're constantly repressing certain emotions and just seeking that high to be able to avoid those emotions. All of those negative emotions stay inside of the intrinsic data field of the individual and is the perfect fodder to host various entities. And so a lot of people are actually impacted by entities, and these entities only come out or make themselves known when they really need to feed. And what they will do is kind of predate upon the electromagnetic signatures and electrochemical processes of the body to create, say, more cortisol, to create stress. That stress creates anger and frustration and other things, and there are certain groups of entities that will just feed off of that thing. There are others that notice that there's a large spiritual void in the individual's life, and they'll predate upon them. So there are a large number of different types of entities, but the ones that we address by far the most are going to be classifications of interdimensional entities, demons as their own category, and then also negative, harmful, malicious, malevolent, ambivalent, and or evil ancestral entities. We don't get rid of all ancestral entities in a person's space, and in fact, along with this broadcast protocol, one of the things that we do is we actually help to infuse positive ancestral entities, positive interdimensional entities into a person's intrinsic data field so that they have beneficial help and so that they have some protection to their being. So all of these things are definitely one of the major factors that we see in people's wellness. And in some cases, the people that come and see us are entirely impacted just by Ens Magicae or by these harmful entities. And because we have this new standardized approach to be able to address these things, we are now pleased to offer this service to you. So if you suspect that you might be the recipient of any of these things, you can purchase this service, and included in the service, we perform an IDF analysis at intake to be able to see if there are curses in your intrinsic data field, if there are hexes, and what different types of entities there might be, and so on and so forth, in order to provide data that shows not only to us for our research purposes, but also to you, how intense any of those things might be in your intrinsic data field. If you buy this service and you don't have any entities or whatever, you only pay the $50 fee that it takes me in order to perform the analysis, and we refund the rest of the cost right back to you. Also, if there are telluric entities in your space, I can give you the choice as to whether we will actually perform this work, or whether you would like to address the harmful telluric entity impacts first, because I cannot break curses, hexes, jinxes, etc. that telluric entities have placed on you. Telluric entities need to be shown respect and remorse and contrition for having transgressed their location. It would basically be the same as if you were to in a fit of either ignorance or rage or whatever else, stab one of your neighbors. You can't just expect that that neighbor isn't going to sue you. You would actually have to go and say sorry and explain yourself and find out what you need to do in order to make it right with them. Otherwise, you're going to incur some form of injury. And the very same thing is true with telluric entities. So I can help guide you through that as one of our clients for this service and tell you what you need to do and what types of offerings would be ideal in order to do this and how to be sincere and to express your contrition properly. But if you have these telluric entities in your space that are causing these negative aspects of Ens Magicae, we cannot break that with IDF. That's something that you have to do. That is your responsibility and something that I can help guide you through. So we perform this analysis in order to make sure that you fit all of the criteria for which this service is going to work. And if you fit all of those criteria, which about 95% of people do, for this service to work, then what we will do is run an IDF balancing broadcast, or several of them, until the entire issue is completely resolved. How do I know when the issue is completely resolved? Well, because we perform what is referred to as an outtake analysis as well. So we have an intake analysis that shows the intensity of all of these things at the time of the service, and then we do an outtake, which means that after an IDF balancing broadcast protocol, we can go ahead and check to make sure that there are no more signatures of any of these things inside of your intrinsic data field, and that is the data that we rely on in order to show that the issue is handled. Simultaneously, to date, we've never had an individual where we show that we have taken care of the issue on our end and they have a user experience that says otherwise. There's always a case where people say, I felt instantaneously better, lighter, I'm not confused, I'm sleeping better, I have, all of this, energy. I'm not depressed anymore. There's a lot of different types of things that can happen depending on which one of these things that we're addressing we're out of balance for you. And sometimes it's a cacophony of different things that are impacting you all simultaneously. And so it can be very difficult to pinpoint, like, what are all the different ways that I feel different now? But everybody always indicates to us that they feel very significantly different, better, lighter. And they oftentimes, like if they had bad luck, they don't have bad luck anymore. If they can't get a job, all of a sudden they can get a job, and job offers start coming to them, and employers calling them back, and all sorts of things like this. So that is kind of the work that's upon us. You can also choose to get an IDF talisman, either an IDF, we call this a scalar wristband or a scalar balance wristband, that we can program with these same tunings for you so that you can wear it and have regular ongoing protection henceforth in the future, and you won't need to buy this service again at any point in the future if you incur curses, hexes, jinxes, psychic attack, or happen to, God forbid, have some entities influence you again in the future. We also have crystal talismans that are available, and you can choose between obsidian, which is traditionally known for its protective energy, or clear quartz, which is known to bolster the biofield of an individual. So we have a couple of different IDF talisman options that you can add on to this broadcast protocol so that in the future you continue to walk forth in the world with ongoing protection. So I think this is an absolutely astounding service. It is something that is so much more inexpensive than what it would cost me to fly to you and perform ritual exorcisms and ritual breaking of different types of curses and hexes and things. And in my own experience, it's far more effective as well. In fact, there's no residual energy that still sticks around when we utilize this intrinsic data field approach, whereas oftentimes there is just with a ritual approach. And part of that is because we have data and we can show how effective the work has actually been. So if this calls to you, please consider purchasing the service. It helps to support our research and gives us more case studies to draw upon for Aurelian medicine. And of course, it will help you, and I stand behind this, that if I can't help you and get all of your numbers down below, your IDF signatures of these things down below a 5, which means that it's non-problematic at that point, then I give you your money back. No questions asked. That's just the way that I work. So if you have any questions about this service, or if you need more information, please continue to read the descriptions on this page, because there's a lot of information here, and who it will work for and who it won't work for, and other things like that. And if you have questions that are not covered on this page, then please reach out to us at support@phoenixaurelius.org, and we're more than happy to answer all of your questions. So thank you so much for listening to this, and we hope to see you without curses and hexes and spirits very soon.